Well, the 2025 Big Nude Boat has completed its circle through the Caribbean, and we are now home with happy memories, a little bit of a sunburn, and a lot of good stories to tell. So how'd it go? How'd it compare to the Carnival Pride? Well, let's discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly. In other words, let's talk about it. First, in case you don't know, the Big Nude Boat is a charter from Bare Necessities. They book a cruise ship from a major line and they turn it into a clothing optional experience. The B&B is one of my favorite nudist venues and something I look forward to every year. It's one of the best experiences around in my book. I had the added pleasure of getting to meet some of the people from our little channel's community here, and I'd like to take a moment and give a shout out to Danielle and Matt, Russell and Kathy, Mark and Catherine, Wes and Sherry, and Jason and Christina, who gave me this cool little I'd rather be naked wristband. Thank you guys for making the trip even more special than it already was. So this year was with a new ship provider, Norwegian Cruise Lines. They're well known, rumored to be a little more upscale than Carnival, and generally well accepted. But was it all sunshine and rainbows? Well, unfortunately not. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's break this out and take a look by category. I'll have them broke out here in the timeline and you can look at what interests you, or you can go back and watch it again, whatever. The ship was very well laid out. Very clean, and there did not seem to be a lot of trouble finding seats, except for around the pool, and that's a factor in every cruise I've ever been on. And for that, the Bear staff did a really good job of watchdogging safe seats. So if people marked chairs left for a long period of time, they would actually move the towels and give some other people a chance. Some days it was difficult, but I managed to somehow find a place to put my derriere pretty much every day. I didn't feel like there were very many bottlenecks on the ship, no real traffic jams, when you're trying to maneuver around. Foot traffic seemed to flow pretty well. Sadly, the behind the scenes tour was canceled for the entire trip. There was a little bridge viewing room you could go to and kind of watch the ship's crew pilot the ship through a glass and see how things were going. And there was a little radar repeater and some other things like that. So actually pretty cool. The stateroom was adequate, though it was a little bit small, as you'd expect. The head was very compact though, causing some side saddle setting, against on the toilette when your knees were pushing up against the bulkhead. If you want to see a full review of the room, you can check it out right up here. I guess they also didn't sell enough drink packages because they dropped the cost if you signed up on ship day 1 or 2, and it was only $30 a day. That is quite a deal. The liquor package covered the drinks on Great Stirrup Cay as well, but it did not include water bottles or water cans. And toward the end of the cruise, the spa also, I guess, was not getting enough usage, and they offered some really greatly reduced prices on a lot of services. And it was awesome, and I took advantage of some of that myself. I thought the crew was incredible. They did such a good job. So many smiles and kind words, I can't count them all. The bartenders were quick and friendly and happy to help get those libations delivered, quickly and with a smile. I can't say enough good things about the crew. And we'd be remiss to not mention the Bare Necessities staff working the ship. They were very present and very pleasant, providing help, direction, and security when needed. Their job had to be a handful though, as we had a number of passengers that were a bit loose with their nudity when we were in port, and they had to be corrected. So good job, guys. The itinerary was a good one in my mind, as it included a lot of islands I hadn't been to as of yet. These included such places as Puerto Rico, Martinique, St. Martin, and Rosso Dominica. There were some complaints though, not so much about the destination itself, but the fact that these destinations were being back to back to back to back. This pretty much prevented a lot of nude time on the ship for a good number of days in a row, as you had to be dressed when we entered port at 8 a.m. and you didn't get to shed your textiles until we cleared land at the end of the day. This means that there was a long stretch that people couldn't do a lot of removing tan lines in the nude unless it was after 5:30, and then the sun was starting to get low and it really cooled off fast. A sea day break in between some of these stops would have been very much appreciated. With that said, to offset that, Norwegian agreed to allow both the inbound and the outbound stops at Great Stirrup Cay to be clothing optional. These little stops at Stirrup were fantastic, and it went a long way in soothing ruffled feathers and let us catch up on our tanning, with food, drinks, and a wonderful beach thrown in. And speaking of food, I must say I really enjoyed the Garden Cafe buffet and enjoyed meeting the greeters spraying us with a little hand cleaner every morning. And washi washi, I love these guys.
Hi, good evening, washi
There seemed to be a good selection of hot and cold food, salads, fruit, desserts, crepes, yes, I said crepes, and ice cream. Cookies were a bit sparse though, as the only place I ever found any was on the rear buffet of the ship. It started at 3 p.m. and only went for a few hours. If you missed out on that, you were out of luck. There's a lot of specialty restaurants on the ship for the additional fee, including an awesome looking Japanese hibachi place called teppanyaki. Oh, and we also had the complimentary Oceans restaurant that was open 24/7, so you could grab a bite to eat anytime you like. The main dining room was a bit hit and miss in my opinion. I had a hard time trying to get a shared table. That's not a big deal though. But I talked to some others and really weren't happy with the selection or the quality of the food, at least for the first week. I felt like the quality went way up, well, in the last 5 days, and I have no complaints at all about that. First week would have been about a low C grade, going up to probably a B+ later on. With that said, I never left the dining room hungry. The weather, of course, is not the fault of Bare Necessities or Norwegian, but it's worthwhile to mention that there were some cool days and wet days. But we were also blessed with some great, awesome weather days, particularly during our stay at Grape Strip Key. It was amazing. For the most part, when weather canceled an event by the pool, anything outside like that, they relocated it to like the Spinnaker Lounge, and that's much better than what I ran into on Carnival on my last textile cruise, where the events were just canceled. Now, temperature on the inside of the ship is under their control, and it seemed to be running very much on the cool side, enough so that a lot of people wore shirts and jackets during the shows, casinos, and generally just moving around the ship. It's like they didn't realize that there was a lot of naked people on board. The pools were cold, though every ship pool I've ever encountered is pretty much chilly, so no surprise there. But the hot tubs were hot and awesome. These became a major hot spot for everybody to get together and talk. There seemed to be a good number of excursions offered by Bare Necessities as well as Norwegian. The Bare Necessities variety included some clothing optional ones. I had to hear the tale of these excursions from others, as I was not able to get any excursions booked for myself. Bare Necessities used a different method of signing up by using a Google sign-up tool, and even though I clicked to sign up, less than a minute after the trip became available, I was not able to get a seat on any one of them. This might have just been bad luck, and if so, oh well, that's life. There was a sizable amount of time between the time you clicked and the announcement came out as who got to go on which excursion. There was murmuring that this method was used so that they could pick and choose and decide who got to go where. I'm not saying that is what happened, but I heard a lot of people complaining about the new selection system. If you have any stories about excursions you took, good or bad, I would love to hear about them in the comments below. Entertainment was okay on the ship, but not stellar in my opinion. I'm willing to be corrected, but the number of shows seemed low, especially when compared to the Carnival Pride. There was, though, a great comedian, Jeff Harms, that did, I think, 4 shows, worked so well with the audience, had us laughing so hard. Very much a plus. He's worth a look if you want to check him out. The music on board was really good, with bands such as Just Married and Edo keeping us dancing. And we were treated with an encore performance by Just Married, as I understand they were really only signed up for 1 show. In the future, I would love if they got the opportunity to play more than that. They're that good, and they're nudists as well. Overall, if you looked hard enough, you could find some venue to get your dance on almost every night. I don't mean to leave the other music producers out. I saw several of them, and they were very good. But unfortunately, my notes that had their names on it did not make it back. I did miss the piano bar at Carnival, and also missed the silent disco dance. But again, that's just some events out of many. There was a good number of seminars. There were subjects such as nude travel, photography, dance, meditation, just to name a few. The crafty cruisers were back on board to provide materials and aid in crafting. I think it was a necklace and a wind chime using sea glass. Very cool stuff. Those guys are great. There were also a lot of varied meet and greets, so you could meet other people in your particular group. They seem to be well attended and well run. The casino was fun, and I'm not just saying that because I came home in winter. Apparently there was not much usage early on, so they dropped the minimum bets on almost every table game. I was able to play roulette with a $1 minimum bet. Many of the tables were down around the $10 level, and the crew that was manning those tables was friendly and very professional. The spa was well equipped with the usual amenities and had a few more thrown in for good measure. There was warming beds, a great locker room, jacuzzis, and a great bubble pool. We had some rough water one night when I was in the bubble pool, and it was like a wave pool at a water park. It was so much fun. We had a fair number of us hiding cruising ducks. I was lucky enough to find this one. I also hid a few. If you happen to find any ducks, or especially ones that I hid, please let me know in the comments. So there you have it. I hope this didn't come across as too negative, as it was really a great trip. There were just some things that hopefully get looked at before next time and maybe improved upon. This was still very much a positive experience with a ton of great people, just having fun and connecting while getting their all over tan on. I talked to a few of the crew about how they felt working a nude cruise, and without exception, they all stated that they really liked it because the people were so nice and treated them so well. They got over the nudity pretty quick, and I think that is a great testimony to the friendliness and the acceptance of nudists. If this sounds like something you might be interested in, check it out at cruisebear.com. It does cost a bit more than a regular cruise, but you're getting something that it's hard to come by. You can do it in the nude. So until next time, happy cruising, be free, and don't forget the sunscreen.